Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. We're your hosts, Kiera Dent
and Dr. Mark Costas.
Mark and I had this crazy idea that maybe we could combine a dentist and a team member's perspective because let's face it, dentistry can be a challenging profession with those two perspectives. And Dental 18 podcast was created.
I'm a practicing dentist, a multiple practice owner, a dental performance coach, and the founder of the Dental Success Institute.
I've been a dental assistant, treatment coordinator, scheduler, biller, office manager, current practice owner, and international dental consultant. Mark and I don't just understand you, we are you.
Our goal is to positively impact the world of dentistry by sharing our lessons learned from the road in hundreds of dental offices.
Two perspectives, one mission, to help dental professionals reach their full potential. Welcome to the Dental 18 podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Dental 18 podcast. I'm Kiera Dent, and today I have Tiffanie Trader joining me again. I love my episodes with Tiffanie. Tiff, how are you today?
I am doing so good, Kiera. How are you? You're traveling.
I am traveling. I'm car casting. So, it's great. I don't even know where I am. I think I'm in Iowa still. I might be in Nebraska, but I did 3 states yesterday. I did Iowa, Nebraska, and Sioux City all in one day, Iowa, Nebraska, and South Dakota. Those were my 3 cities or states. And I think I hit 30 states yesterday for the year to date. So, pulling those
for 2019?
in. 2019, 30 states already year to date. But these aren't even, I'm not even trying. It's like going there for a reason. The first time I did this, remember my South Dakota trip and I drove clear across for like an 18-hour drive? That's when I knew you were a true friend and you stayed awake with me and kept me awake on that most terrible decision to do an 18-hour loop, but it's fine.
You made it though. You accomplished your goal. That's what really matters.
That is. So, and you're packing and working at home and just living the dream over there, right?
I am. I took a little 10-minute cat nap today, and as I was falling asleep, I thought, I love my life.
That makes me so happy. You guys, Tiffanie and I, we talk all the time, but this is truly our real life. We hike. We get to travel to awesome offices. I'm traveling this week. Tiffany's at home. This is our real life and we love it. So if anyone's interested in ever working with the Dental A team or the consulting side, always submit your information. We're always looking for great culture fits. So if Tiffanie and I just spark your fire, you just jive with our personalities, send it on over, info@thedentalateam.com. We are definitely always looking for people because I personally think we live the coolest life ever. But once again, that's just me. Geek out on dentistry and live the dreamiest life. So I feel pretty lucky.
I agree. And Kiera geeks out on dentistry and I geek out on just helping other people. I think we both geek out on living our best lives and pushing forward the best we can.
Tiffanie actually geeks out on crystals and how that's energy paths. So I'm always like, Tiff, are you wearing your crystals? You're pretty calm today. So if you guys
I have so many.
She really does. I'm always like, and another crystal. But I like it. She sent me crystals one time. I feel really good about it. So there's a little bit of our personal life for you before we dive into hiring. Hiring's been our topic of discussion. Mark and I talked about it at Summit. Mark and I talked about it on the Dentalpreneur podcast. And Tiff, you and I, that's how we met, was through the hiring company, Dental Placement Pros, which if you go to the website, it still exists, but the services might not quite be there anymore. Tiffanie and I don't quite do that as much, but that's actually what brought us together. Do you remember that, Tiff?
I do. I almost wasn't given the opportunity because our amazing mutual friend Tarly was worried it was too much added onto my plate, which we all know I just like to add and pile toppings on top. So I took it and I ran with it, and it was probably one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
I love it. We joke that I wanted to meet Tiffanie in person. She was hiring for the company. I had hired her as a recruiter. And it's actually kind of ironic because the day that I called Tiffanie was the day that one of my other consultants had told me, hey, this is back quite a while ago. She was like, hey, Kiera, today, I just am not going to do consulting anymore. And I was devastated. So I'd had one of my worst conversations, called Tiffanie. Tiffanie just was this spark of joy. It was awesome. She was tons of fun. I hired her on the spot and just said, hey, yep, let's do recruiting together. And then lo and behold, 2 weeks later, when I met you in person, you're now my right-hand consultant. And it's been the best thing ever. So who would have thought that one little conversation, you never know where they'll lead you.
You don't. And in typical Kiera fashion, I was offered the job as you were running up the runway to your next flight.
That's when Tiffanie realized that my brain never stops and I'm able to come up with solutions to problems in like 20 seconds or less. Like it was like, oh, she's got her son these days. I could have her travel these days. I think this could work. I'm going to call her and just see if this would even work out. And Tiff, like, I think she was shocked that my brain had already come up with that solution that quickly.
Yeah, that was one of the most impressive things I've ever had come across me. I was just like, wow, she literally figured it out for me. I don't have to think about it. And yes, I'll take this job.
So there you guys go. So hiring can be super easy that way, or it can be one of the worst things because now Tiffanie and I are trying to hire more consultants for the consulting company. So we're still in the hiring realm, but also we've learned a lot of tips and different ways to make hiring not as painful because it can be a brutal process. Or just like Tiffanie and I, it was one of the easiest decisions. And I think like when Mark and I met, it was that easy, instant connection. And I think sometimes you get lucky and you win the lottery, but I'd say a lot of other times you got to really work hard. And maybe we just got pickier. I don't know, Tiffanie, but shoot, this go around, it's been hard.
Well, I think America's been blessed right now, right, with a really low unemployment rate. And I think in our realm for consulting, we're not going after people necessarily who don't have jobs, right? So we have to appeal to the people who do have jobs and just maybe know that they're made for something more. So it makes it a little trickier for us.
It does. It does. So let's dive into some of the things that we learned from hiring with Dental Placement Pros. Just so you guys have a little background, Tiffanie and I, one day I decided I was going to start this awesome nationwide recruiting company. Such a brilliant idea until it wasn't. And it was where we would hire, we'd interview, we'd screen the applicants for offices that we're looking to hire. We would do reference checks on them. We'd do a FaceTime interview with them. Like we seriously, I think back to it, Tiffanie, like, can you imagine being an office manager and having that service at your fingertips? Like I would have hired, it would have been awesome because hiring is so tricky. But I think in that whole process, Tiffanie and I really learned a lot about hiring that I feel can really help a lot of you out there, because some of these things we just learned from having hundreds of people that we hired for and tons of people we interviewed to really get a good database of people and different ways to hire and do it really, really well. So Tiff, what were some of the takeaways you took when working with Dental Placement Pros that you feel could really change an office's perspective or even how-tos of how to hire?
Yeah, for sure. I think my perspective coming from the office manager who had to do hiring, and we always hire like out of desperation, right? We're always hiring when we need someone.
Susie just quit on you, right? Susie just gave her 2 weeks and you're like, oh man, put the ads out. We got to hire somebody right now.
Right. So then I think that we try to fit like a square right into a circle. Mm-hmm. And so I think that I know for me, when I was office manager and watching my previous office manager as well, I think that we try to make our situation work for the person that we want. So we're not always necessarily super upfront about hours requirements or days, or, when we're open on a Saturday, like you don't want to tell them you for sure are going to work Saturday. It's more like sometimes you might. When like in all actuality, go ahead.
It's like when you're dating, right? You try and hide behind like, oh, and by the way, here's all my dirty laundry hanging out the back. Like, no, don't worry about it. Saturday's totally negotiable. Like, when the reality is like, just be upfront, right? I think it's kind of like just trying to put your best foot forward instead of who you really are. I love that.
Yeah. So I think like with that, I think just busting through so many interviews for other companies and knowing like I didn't work for those companies. They hired me to help hire for them, but I couldn't make those like squishy non-negotiables. Like I couldn't make those adjustments. So I had to be really firm on them. And I found that it's so much easier to weed out the people who just aren't going to work. If you upfront, you're like, what do you require financially? This is what I can do. These are my hours. This is how far it is. Like get those ugly things out of the way first. And if they're the right person, they'll continue forward. And it's been such a time saver. What did I say? I think I said 19 interviews yesterday.
Boom, girl. That's what we're talking about. Tiffany's skills are coming back, guys. She's going for 19. That's solid.
19 interviews, right. But it's like, I did 19, but how much time did it really take? Because I busted out those hard non-negotiables in the beginning. It's like, this is what we pay. This is what your travel requirements are. You'll be away from your family for this amount of time. Is that actually feasible in your life? And if not, that's okay. There's something else out there for you, and there's someone else out there for us that's going to work a little bit better. So for me, that's like my biggest takeaway, I think, from what we've done in the past.
I love that so much because I love the upfront approach. When you're hiring, yes, you can totally be hiring out of desperation. That's usually the reality. But when we hire out of desperation and we just put somebody in that doesn't really fit what we're looking for, we are just prolonging the problem. We think we're helping out, but the reality is we are prolonging a problem and we're just putting a Band-Aid on a broken leg. So instead of doing that, I love that you talk about this because you're right. When you hop on that interview phone call, we always say, talk about pay, hours, location first. If it doesn't work, get off the phone call because they're not going to work. I think I had my record interview the other day. I told you, Tiffanie, I was interviewing a gal and I think we were on and off the phone within a 2.5 minute mark because and the way I start that conversation is, hey, like, thanks so much. We're the office of X and YZ, or this is the company of XYZ. We're super excited. I don't want to waste your time. So like, let's just dive right into the 3 things that I know are going to make or break this relationship right off the get-go. Let's talk pay. What are you looking for pay? Let's talk hours. These are the hours we work, and don't sugarcoat it, because if they're the right person, if they want to work for you, it will work out and you don't have to try and negotiate around, because when you start on that slippery slope of throwing out all these extra compensations, all these bonuses, it's like they just figured out that this is like, you're starting out your relationship this way. You're setting the stage for yourself to have this person know that you want them so badly, that you are this desperate person in this relationship, that they then can use that in a future relationship, knowing full well that that's the person that you were when you were hiring. So I feel in not having those, like, really hold them as non-negotiables, being firm in that, you set a stage for future with this person that you're hiring, and it makes it a lot easier in the long run.
Absolutely. And I think if you think of it from the other perspective, think about like, okay, 6 months down the road, if I'm asking something of this person, what's their reaction going to be? Because I set the stage today. Are they going to respect me in 6 months? You know, when their job changes or something, something is just a little bit different for us. Like, maybe I don't have 3 offices to silver platter you this month. Like, what is that going to look like in the future for our relationship and the mutual respect that needs to come between the two of us?
I love it. I think as office managers, as doctors, when you are hiring, make those non-negotiables and know what they are. And then don't try to make somebody fit into what you're looking for. It's okay. That person is out there, and you might have a drag, but I have found time and time and time again that when I hire out of desperation, or I think I'll just make this person work, it's always the wrong choice. And I regret it later on. There's a book called Essentialism that you and I both have read, Tiffanie. And I think one of my biggest takeaways from that was it's much easier to say no at the beginning as opposed to saying yes when you don't really mean it and trying to come up with the no later. I would much rather say no, have those non-negotiables solid right now instead of later on deciding, let me have to break up with you later on. Let me have to fire you because it's just not working out. So good job. Yep. Set the stage. I think one of my biggest takeaways was learning to write really good ads. I don't know how you are, Tiff, but I think we have dialed in how to write really good ads that actually attract who we're looking for. It's not always perfect, but I would say that that's one of the things that you and I have honed in on heavily to make our hiring process even easier.
I absolutely agree. And I think that the biggest point on that is that you said we're attracting the right person. And I think we can get 200 emails, right, of like resume after resume after resume that we have to filter through based on our willy-nilly ad, our easy one. But it's so much easier if you can attract the right person with your words by putting your essence and your spirit into your words and attracting those people. So maybe you only get 80 instead of 200, but it's 80 people who felt like your ad called to them. Absolutely. And I always think, like, office managers, you're busy. So why are you just throwing out a really simple ad that's going to attract a ton of people? Like, why not take the extra 10 minutes to write a really intentional ad
that will attract the person you're looking for, as opposed to sorting through hundreds of resumes, or if you're in a small town, even a couple resumes that just don't even fit what you're looking for. Like, why waste that time, especially when you're a super busy office manager and you really don't have time to do that anyway? Like, take the 10 minutes. So let's break down what a really good ad looks like. So that way you can take those 10 minutes and know exactly what to do. And I'll start, I think, well, actually, Tiff, start with the avatar, because I think you do a great job of talking about the avatar to help people understand exactly what we're talking about when we say avatar and who you're looking for.
Yeah, thank you for that. I appreciate that. So avatar is like something that's been really thrown around, I feel like, in the last few years, like willy-nilly, like build your avatar, speak to your avatar, and there's not really a clear definition.
It's that movie, right? Of those tall blue people. Yeah. Like, that's who I try to be when I'm real tall. Just need to get the costume and be all blue, right?
You are tall. So now we just need to paint you blue. That's really what I've been working towards. You're right.
Okay, perfect. Halloween 2019. Here we come.
Right. But that's what you think of, right? It's an avatar. And that movie confuses that definition of avatar, not just because of the people, but because of the movie in general. So an avatar, I think if you really just think about building an idea of the person that you want to work next to, like build the qualities of that person that person carries. What does he or she look like? What does he or she, smell like? What perfume do they wear? What do they value in their lives? What's their personality like? How do they speak to others? All of those things. You can literally build a person, and that's your avatar. So you're building in a half mile what you want your next person to look like.
And I think
out of words.
Yeah, exactly. And be really intentional. Kaylee, who is our go-to girl of the company, she's fantastic. Like, I feel like I manifested that girl into real life. I knew exactly who I wanted to hire, and she came. She was awesome. And then when we needed to hire somebody who is going to help Kaylee, we just recently did this in our own company. So don't worry. We all make mistakes when we hire. It's totally fine. But we put an ad out there. We thought we wrote the really good ad. We thought we knew the avatar that we were looking for. And the person that we got didn't quite fit. And within 1 to 2 weeks, we knew this is not the right fit. So, of course, we had the conversation, moved on. And I remember Kaylee she was kind of frustrated. She was saying, I don't really, I don't want to put more time into this person because I've already done all of this. And so I asked her, I said, Kaylee, no name attached to anybody. If you were to write, and Tiffanie, you and I have done this too for consultants, it's if you were to list off all the traits that you would want this dream person, if you could make this person out of thin air, what would they possess? Just brainstorm, put it down on a piece of paper. And when Kaylee and I did this exercise, she listed off 15 attributes that she wanted this person to have. And then we wrote an ad that would attract that exact person with those same attributes, with those characteristics, in order to find the person we really, really wanted to have on our team.
Yep. And it works. It makes such a huge difference because then you can take all of those attributes that you've deemed as quality. This is the type of person that I want to be working with. And you can bullet point those into your ad, build your ad to speak to that person. And I love how you talk about this part, Kiera.
In 600 feet, turn right.
How you tie
right onto Old Lincoln
the actual ad all together.
Awesome. Thank you for that. So you build on the avatar. You write, exactly who you're writing to. And then I do it pretty much in 3 paragraphs. And to this day in the company, I still write the bulk of our ads. And I think some people, we all know what we're looking for, but we're really intentional. So figure out whomever in your company is great at writing. And then I follow the 3-paragraph model. So first paragraph is introductory to the company. And it's, whatever you want to say. I think we're a fantastic consulting company. So our ad is, we are a fantastic consulting company. We love to grow. We love to empower people. We are invested in people becoming a better version of themselves. I don't care what you put out there, but think about it as the hook of a paper. Remember, go back to elementary school when you had to write your 5-paragraph papers that felt like an eternity to write. That first paragraph is the hook. That's the one that you need to do so well that everybody, you're going to draw this person in by reading that first one. You want them to continue on to paragraphs 2 and 3. Paragraph 2 is bullet pointed. It says, our ideal team member would possess, and then you list off these values. And then the third paragraph is, if this job sounds like your dream job that you've always looked for. I always write dream job because I really want to be the job that people like they've been dreaming about. They didn't believe existed. I'm writing to that person. So I say, if this is your dream job, please respond with, and I always list off at least 3 things because I want to make sure that whomever's applying is intentional. And I also want to make my life super easy and make my ad really easy. So I always say your compensation requirements. That's a filtering process right there. If they don't fit my compensation requirement, I don't want to interview them. I also ask for their resume. And the third thing I ask for is something funny, something that stands out because I want to stand out. So my favorite is your favorite ice cream flavor written in the subject line of your email. And it can be anything. It could be the last book you read. It could be what is the population of the city you live in. I don't care what you choose, but this will stand out. People remember this. This ad looks different. It doesn't feel the same like all the other ads that are out there. And so by doing this, you really stand out to your audience and make it different for them. You make your ad stand out. Plus, you just created 2 filtering processes. So you save time and you wrote an ad that just felt different and stood out by having those 3 paragraphs. I'm big on bolded words. I write really, really sassy. Sassy, is that a real word, Tiff? Have you ever heard of sassy? Okay, I feel good about sassy.
We're moving forward with it. I like it.
It's a sassy, which is sassy and jazzy, apparently. A sassy title of rockstar consultant needed. And I put dental. So rockstar dental consultant or superstar dental hygienist needed, or the best of the best dental office manager, or super organized, fantastic dental office manager needed for growing practice. I don't care what it is, but stand out. Don't just write dental hygienist, dental assistant. That does not intrigue somebody to click on your ad. You want that person and you want people to apply. And Tiffanie, you and I have found we've put this on, like those 3 things that they have to apply for. We put it on Indeed. And Indeed's tricky because you can't respond with those 3 things in your title. So Tiff, tell what our consultants who have been applying have actually been doing, because this was another filtering thing that we've done on Indeed.
Yeah, it actually worked out really well because you get to see how creative these people are and innovative. And like, I like Googlers. I like people who will just go figure it out. So on Indeed, you can apply and it'll send all the information, but there's not an easy way to answer our questions or deliver that ice cream flavor in the subject line. So what we've actually had happen are people replace the cover letter option in Indeed and to answer our questions. Or we've had one girl, she actually sought us out on our website, went through our website to get our email addresses. I think you had someone call you to let you know that she couldn't submit the stuff and that she wanted you to know that she saw it. We've had I had 2 others come through by email that were like, oh my gosh, I had to go look for your website because I wanted to make sure I got this information to you, but Indeed doesn't let me. And it's been fantastic because that's the person that I want to hire. When I have someone in an office and I'm in an office, I can't always answer my phone to ansor their question.
Like, how do I get on this next flight? We don't have time to answer that question. You got to figure that out.
or how do you print an AR report from Open Dental? Like,
there's Google for that.
So I need people who do that from the get-go. So showing me that they were willing to figure out how to bypass the handicaps, quote unquote, that Indeed had delivered for them is going above and beyond, and it automatically puts them to the top of my list.
So true. And I think, Tiffanie, you and I have found that doing these simple things, so writing a really good ad that has those filtering processes, the compensation, the ice cream flavor in the title, putting it on Indeed, seeing how much these people can problem solve, those are 3 quick filtering processes for you. And then writing to your avatar. And then, Tiff, I loved when you talked about diving into that interview. So when you get them on the phone, you cut to the chase. You talk about the 3 biggest pieces without changing your non-negotiables to fit the person that you're hoping to hire. I think that in a nutshell would put any person who's listening to this podcast light years ahead of where you and I were when we were in an office hiring.
Oh, yeah.
So
absolutely.
There you have it. Those are just some quick things. We have a lot of items out there that, there's a ton more to this whole hiring process. But if any of you are interested, the Dental A Team does have a lot of resources out there. And right now, who knows how long this coupon code will last? It might last forever. So if you're lucky, but we decided to make our hiring code course, we have a full online course that will walk you through every single part of what we talk about. And if you use the coupon code HIRE7 with the number 7, so HIRE7 at thedentalateam.com for the hiring course, you can get that course for Mark's favorite number for $7.77. It's usually a $99 course. But we've been talking about hiring. We wanted to make it. We found that when people invest a little bit, $7.77, I hope all of us have that. If not, we are hiring, so we could have a job. So just apply anyway. But we found that when you invest a little bit, you are more committed to doing this. And we really want you to follow the course, follow the outline, because Tiff, would you agree? If you can master hiring, I feel you set yourself apart and you can hire the team you actually want instead of the one that's just coming by your way. You're really intentional with that process.
Absolutely. And I think the understanding of you're speaking to the next person you're going to hire is huge. So you know what? If you're like a low energy person, no matter what, it's going to come out that way. And if that's the type of office, that you want, then you're going to attract that. And so no matter what, whatever energy you put into it, it's exactly what you're going to get.
Amen. So there you guys have it. Tiffanie, as always, thank you so much for joining me on the Dental A Team. Thanks for your nuggets. You've got a brilliance, you've got a poise to you that I think a lot of people resonate with. So thank you for sharing that with us today.
For having me.
Of course. All right, everyone. This wraps up another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Can't wait to chat with you next time, Tiffanie, and can't wait to chat with all of you again on the next episode. That wraps it up for another episode of the Dental A Team podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.